It's day 18 of the Bible recap, and it may be our last one on this platform. If you're not watching me on TikTok, don't you worry about it because I repurpose the videos after I post them here. But with the impending doom of this app, you can find me in my Facebook group. You can find that in the link in my bio. And then I'm also going to attach some other handles in the description or the caption for you guys to check out if you're interested in finding me on other platforms. So now that that's over with, let's go ahead and dive in because I'm not going to stop doing this. If TikTok goes away, it goes away, but I'm just going to continue to go through each day, as taxing as it may be. Both of my boys are sick right now. I'm not sure if I'm coming down with it or not, so it'll be an interesting next few days. Either way, I'm going to try to show up here. Let's see, Genesis 19 through 21. It is an interesting one, and some of the stuff really does make me uncomfortable to talk about, so bear with me. And again, I'm going to try to keep it as polite and as PG as possible just for me and anybody else who's like me. You got to understand, like, this is not stuff that I want to talk about, like, out in the open, but here I am, so let's get to it. So we're going to pick back up the story in Sodom. We have two angels that have visited Lot in his city. And basically, they're telling him that he's got to get out of Dodge. Remember when Abraham was begging God, like, will you save it if there's 10 people? And he was like, yes. Well, there's not 10 people. So what the angel of the Lord does, go in and get Lot and his family out, because I guess the covenant with Abram, and he knows how special Lot is. He goes in and makes sure that they come out. So what was super surprising to me, and someone here described this best, like some of the stuff like is straight out of like a HBO series or something, okay? So the thing is, Sodom, right, is known for its wickedness. And so they were trying to beat Lot's door down so they could have relations with those two angels. And these are men from the city that want to have relations with the angels. And they're trying to do everything to get into him. And Lot even offers his two virgin daughters and was like, I have two virgin daughters. You can have them. You cannot mess with these guys. And they were not having it. So God blinded those men. God blinded the men trying to get in to fornicate with those angels. And it really bothers me that Lot was trying to offer up his kids. But scholars believe that he was bluffing. That either he was bluffing or either he knew that the dudes were going to turn him down. It's heavy stuff, okay? So what happens is Lot drags his feet with like getting out of Sodom. So he's not so quick to obey like Abraham is. So he kind of drags his feet. And so the angels are like, come on, come on, come on, come on. And then they end up getting them out, right? He drags his feet, but he finally gets the family out. What does Lot's wife do? She looks back. What happens to her? She turns into a pillar of salt. It says she looked back longingly, right? So there's some messages there as well. So God is going to rain lava from the sky on Sodom and Gomorrah. Okay? Wild. All this is just so wild. Like, he's destroying this entire city of wickedness. Okay? And so Lot and his daughters end up in the mountains. And this is the next crazy part, okay? They're very much like Sarah. They were not faithful, right? They didn't have as much trust in God as they should. They wanted to take plans into their own hands and do their own thing. And so what they did is the unthinkable. They got their father drunk and laid with their father and became pregnant. Both the daughters did that. I discussed with someone in my church, like, after I read this, because it just did not sit right with me. I was like, this is all crazy, you know, like. And they were like, you've got to think about, they thought that, like, that was the end of the world. They thought, like, Sodom and Gomorrah was like the flood, okay? And that they had to repopulate the earth. And I was like, you know what? Okay. So it's still a lot. Like I said, HBO series. So no one can ever say that the Bible does not have some drama, okay? So anyway, let's continue on for that. At this point, you know, incest is not banned. But again, wow. And there's two peoples born from these sons. I know the Amorites is one. I do remember that. I did not write that down in my notes. Okay. And so Abraham and Sarah, they are at it again. They are in another kingdom because the drought and famine came through. They're King Abimelech's territory. And he, again, is going to pose Sarah as his sister. And so the king steals her away. But the king, this is interesting too, because the king does not lay with her here. They believe that the Pharaoh did, because the Pharaoh took her as one of the wives. So they believe that Pharaoh, okay, but here said no. Because this could have been really bad for God's plan. Like, she is supposed to carry the family that the Messiah comes from. Like, what if that... Okay. So, God goes to the king in a dream, okay, and says, like, you got to let her go. Like, this is, you cannot keep her. You cannot mess with her. And so God goes and rescues them again. Abraham continued to try to protect themselves, and it just kept getting them in deeper and deeper trouble. They kept digging that hole deeper, and God continues to save them. Okay, Isaac is finally born. Okay, continues on. Isaac is finally born. So this is Abraham and Sarah's son. This feels a 25-year-old promise. Okay, Ishmael's about 14 at this time. This deepens the division between the moms. All right, Ishmael mocks Isaac and makes Sarah makes Abraham kick them out. She's like, they gotta go. I don't want to split his inheritance anyway. Okay, and so God tells him to obey Sarah. But then he also does not forget about them, does not forget about Hagar and Ishmael. Okay. He promises a great nation from him as well. And I don't know if you guys are aware that the lineage of Ishmael is, so Jesus is born of Abraham through Isaac, and Muhammad, the prophet of Islam, is born through Abraham through Ishmael. From what all of this has said, okay? So they flee, they are out, about to thirst to death, and the angel of the Lord comes, okay, and provides a well and saves them, all right? And then meanwhile, Abraham is off trying to strike a deal of his own for a well, and he's bartering some things back and forth with the king, okay? And then the king finally says, you got to scram. A lot is happening, and a lot is going to be happening. These little chapters are action-packed with all kinds of stuff. So I know that was a lot to process. Please, like I said, if you have any questions, whatever, just drop them in the comments, because I have people that I can take them to, all right? Or some aha moments, or help me process some of this. If you know, please, it is welcome. Let's get into the God shot while we have, okay, let's get into the God shot. So this is when God gets Abraham to pray for the king. Okay, he gets him to pray for King Abimelech after Abimelech steals his wife. Like Job praying for his friends. We see God's heart of forgiveness. Like in John 17:20, Christ prayed for the sinners that were the reason for his death. This displays the heart of forgiveness that God has, even in a broken world, through all of us, his people. Even though we are his children by adoption, God still wants our hearts to look like his. Because as Tara-Leigh always ends, he is where the joy is. And I hope that you stick with this, because there was a post here the other day, and it was like, you know, a lot of people, you know why a lot of people don't finish their Bible plans to read their Bible? Because they start in the Old Testament. And even my pastor told me that I needed to start in the New Testament and read the gospel and then go back. But see, I'm a history teacher. I want it laid out. And that's why I love this chronological plan. Everything, I want to build all the information. And some of the stuff is very difficult to get through. Some of it is very hard to process. But I'm telling you, just stick with it, and you will see exactly what she means when she says that he is where the joy is. Because in that last year, I have found a lot of joy in building my relationship with the Father. And I hope you can do the same thing too.